I'm going to read my remarks, and I think that they'll complement what Colin has said. Good morning, my name's Graeme McQueen. I'm a retired university professor who taught for 30 years in the Religious Studies Department at McMaster University. In my brief remarks, I want to explain why I feel Colin Powell should not be welcome to this city. We've all heard Powell referred to as, quote, reluctant warrior, unquote, moderate Republican, and even dove. But these descriptions have more to do with public relations than with his actual record. Colin Powell understands the importance of the media. He has spoken publicly about how wars nowadays are won on television as much as in the field, and he's generally been successful in wrapping journalists around his finger. The truth is, however, that he has repeatedly aided U.S. governments in programs of deceit and violence. As well as assisting in the invasion of Grenada and the raid on Libya, he has facilitated the deliberate destruction of Vietnamese homes and villages, the commission of murder, rape, and wanton destruction by the so-called Contras in Nicaragua, in part by illegally channeling money to the Contras through the infamous Iran-Contra deal, the illegal invasion of Panama, which led to many military and civilian deaths and was condemned by both the Organization of American States and the United Nations, and 2 invasions of Iraq. In the first invasion of Iraq in 1991, he is implicated in, among other crimes, the deliberate destruction of the water and sewage system essential for the health of the population. Reinforced by a draconian program of sanctions lasting many years, this contributed to the death of approximately 500,000 children under the age of 5, as measured by a variety of international research teams. I have references at the end of this paper. With respect to the second invasion of Iraq, Powell was the man who went to the UN to try and persuade the Security Council to launch the war. In the course of his talk, he lied about Iraq's biological, chemical, and nuclear capabilities, and he lied about the connections between Iraq and Al-Qaeda. When the Security Council refused to go along with the proposed invasion, he nonetheless supported his government in carrying out a war of aggression. This war has caused massive damage to Iraqi material infrastructure, society, and culture, and has taken, according to the Lancet study, over 650,000 lives. And that, of course, was some time ago. Colin's figures are probably more accurate. From a legal perspective, there is extensive evidence implicating Powell in at least 3 types of war crimes, which I've listed here and have taken from the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, to which Canada is a party. He is also guilty of the crime of aggression, which is defined in the Nuremberg Charter of 1945 as follows: planning, preparation, initiation, or waging of a war of aggression, or a war in violation of international treaties, agreements, or assurances, or participating in a common plan or conspiracy for the accomplishment of any of the foregoing. As you probably know, a war of aggression has also been called the supreme international crime, which includes all other crimes within it, because in fact it initiates war and all that goes with war. This then is the man who is coming to Hamilton to give a motivational speech. A charming, intelligent, and charismatic man implicated in the deaths of over 1 million human beings. I hope we can keep in mind during his visit the observations of journalist Robert Fisk on Powell's arrival at the UN for his February 5, 2003 speech, and I end by quoting Fisk's comments. There was an almost macabre opening to the play when General Powell arrived at the Security Council, cheek-kissing the delegates and winding his great arms around them. Jack Straw fairly bounded up for his big American hug. Indeed, there were moments when you might have thought that the whole chamber, with its toothy smiles and constant handshakes, contained a room full of men celebrating peace rather than war. Alas, not so. These elegantly dressed statesmen were constructing the framework that would allow them to kill. Thank you.